Dark Psychology Tactics They'll Never See Coming, Part 2, Advanced Weapons. The shadow war you didn't know you were losing. You felt it before, haven't you? That unsettling, almost eerie sense that someone is always 2 steps ahead, subtly pulling strings you can't quite see or name. You've been in conversations where you walked away feeling off-kilter, or negotiations where you conceded without understanding why. You've been a player in a game you didn't even know was being played. Now that era ends. You're about to become that man. These aren't just mere tactics, not simple persuasive tricks you read in a self-help book. These are social predator technology, refined over decades, honed by power players, master negotiators, elite intelligence operatives, and those who consistently operate in the deepest shadows of human interaction. This is the operating manual for the truly dominant. Warning: what comes next is not an intellectual exercise. It is a direct download of highly potent behavioral overrides. Integrating these into your arsenal will alter your relationships forever. They will change how you perceive people, how you engage, and how you ultimately exert your will. Once you see the matrix, you can't unsee it. Are you ready for the full weight of this reality? Tactic number 6. The double bind, how to make them obey by giving them a choice. The ultimate form of coercion, the most insidious control, paradoxically feels like absolute freedom to the target. This is the double bind. You're not forcing them into a corner, you're offering them an escape, right into your waiting arms. Structure. The elegance of the double bind lies in its deceptive simplicity. You present 2 options, seemingly giving them control, but here's the catch. Both choices inevitably serve your goal. The target's conscious mind grasps for the illusion of autonomy, while their subconscious is funneled directly to your desired outcome. Example 1. Imagine a subordinate perpetually procrastinating on a critical report. Instead of a direct command or a threat, you calmly state, "Should we handle this now and clear your plate for the weekend, or should we wait until Monday, giving you more time to regret delaying and face the consequences?" Notice how both options lead to the report being done, but one also introduces an element of guilt and future discomfort, making the now option surprisingly appealing. Example 2. More aggressive, confronting someone you know is lying. You don't ask if they're lying. You ask, "Do you want to admit the truth to me directly and we can move past this? Or should I draw my own conclusions based on the evidence I already possess?" The choice isn't to confess or not, but how they confess or allow you to conclude their guilt. Why it works. The human brain is wired to seek resolution, to avoid cognitive dissonance. When trapped within a false binary, where all paths lead to a predetermined destination, the mental short circuit is inevitable. The discomfort of inaction, or of trying to find a third, non-existent option, becomes so profound that they will obey the most palatable of your 2 choices, just to escape the mental prison you've constructed. Their subconscious relief at making a choice blinds them to the fact that it was never their choice to begin with. Real-world execution. This is a staple in legal interrogation. A skilled lawyer or detective won't ask, "Did you commit the crime?" They'll ask, "Did you lie to protect yourself, or were you trying to shield someone else in your family?" Either answer is an admission of guilt, packaged as a compassionate inquiry into their motivations. The target, desperate to appear rational or even noble, often takes the bait, confirming their complicity under the guise of explaining it. Tactic number 7. Pattern interrupt plus rewire, how to erase their resistance. Every individual operates on a set of ingrained patterns. Their verbal scripts, their emotional responses, their defense mechanisms. These are the walls of their psychological fortress. To gain access, you don't batter them down. You simply make them irrelevant. This is pattern interrupt plus rewire. Disrupt. The first step is to do something utterly unexpected, something that breaks their established pattern of thought or reaction. This creates a momentary cognitive dissonance, a microsecond of confusion where their normal defenses are offline. This could be a sudden silence in the middle of their rant, a bizarrely specific question, a change in your body language, or even a statement that seems completely out of context. Example: someone is aggressively arguing a point, repeating the same logic. You interject with a calm, almost curious tone. Wait, before you continue, do you actually truly believe what you're saying, or are you just trying to convince yourself? Or, if they're about to make an excuse, you might abruptly ask, does this remind you of your third-grade art project, where you promised perfection but delivered a scribble? The sheer unexpectedness disarms them. Observe. That moment of confusion is critical. Their eyes might widen slightly, their posture might shift, their breathing could momentarily hitch. This is the open door, a mental backdoor that has swung ajar as their brain tries to process the unexpected data. Their normal, reflexive responses have been disrupted and they're vulnerable. Implant. While their defenses are down, while their cognitive processes are scrambling to reestablish order, you feed them a new narrative, a new perspective, your desired suggestion. Their brain, desperate to resolve the discomfort of the interruption, will often unconsciously adopt your suggestion as the new truth to reestablish coherence. Example continued. After their momentary confusion, you might follow up with, or maybe you're just saying that because it's easier than confronting the real issue, which is X. You've not only interrupted their pattern but subtly redirected their internal dialogue, planting your seed of doubt or explanation directly into their now receptive mind. Psychological payload. Their brain, wired for efficiency and consistency, will adopt your suggestion as a means to resolve the emotional and cognitive discomfort caused by the pattern interrupt. It's a mental shortcut. They'll justify your input as their own realization, incorporating it into their internal narrative without ever realizing it was externally implanted. Their resistance is not overcome. It's simply erased and replaced. Tactic number 8, the ghost game. How to make them chase your validation. In the social ecosystem, attention is the ultimate currency. Most people are desperate for it, addicted to it. The ghost game teaches you to leverage this addiction by strategically controlling the supply of your validation, making them chase what you once freely gave. Step 1. Reward their baseline behavior with warmth, draw them in. Initially, be warm, attentive, and validating. Engage with their stories, laugh at their jokes, offer genuine compliments. Make them feel seen, appreciated, and subtly dependent on your positive regard. This creates a strong positive association with you, establishing a baseline of expected emotional payoff. You are creating a dopamine faucet. Step 2. The moment they expect validation, remove it coldly. This is the core of the tactic. At a critical juncture, when they've come to expect your validation, perhaps after they've shared something personal or made an effort to impress you, suddenly and without explanation withdraw your warmth. Become distant, quiet, or unresponsive. Your responses become curt, your eye contact fleeting, your demeanor detached. You don't have to be overtly rude. Simply become a ghost of your former attentive self. Step 3. Watch as they work harder to regain what you once freely gave. Their brain will register the abrupt withdrawal of a previously reliable source of dopamine. They won't understand why, and their primal instincts will kick in. They will begin to escalate their efforts to regain your positive attention. They'll try harder to please you, seek your approval more overtly, initiate contact more frequently, and adapt their behavior to whatever they perceive might win back your warmth. They are now chasing your validation, caught in a loop of trying to earn what you effortlessly provided before. Nuclear effect. People don't just like those who validate them. They literally obsess over those who control their dopamine supply. This tactic creates an emotional dependence, turning your presence and approval into a highly coveted, scarce resource. You become the center of their emotional gravity, their actions dictated by the desire to fix whatever they believe they did to lose your favor. The more erratic your rewards, the more unpredictable the dopamine hit, the stronger the addiction. This is how cult leaders, charismatic abusers, and manipulative partners gain unwavering devotion. Tactic number 9, the terror paradox. Making them fear losing you more than you fear losing them. True power isn't taken. It's surrendered to you willingly, often out of a profound, unspoken fear. The terror paradox is about cultivating a situation where the other person fears losing you far more than you fear losing them, thereby solidifying your irreplaceable status. Phase 1. Become indispensable. This is the foundation. Systematically make yourself essential in their life, business, or emotional landscape. This isn't just about practical skills, it's about multifaceted value. Skills and expertise. Become the go-to person for specific, critical problems. Connections. Be the gateway to valuable networks, opportunities, or people. Emotional anchoring. Become the primary confidant, the steady presence, the only one who truly understands them or offers a specific type of emotional comfort. Make yourself their source of stability, excitement, or unique insight. Phase 2. Subtly remind them what vanishes if you do. Once you've woven yourself into the fabric of their existence, introduce subtle, almost casual reminders of your unique value and the void your absence would create. This isn't a threat, it's a quiet, matter-of-fact observation. Example. In a professional setting, after helping them navigate a complex issue, you might say, "It's funny, most people don't realize what they have until it's gone, especially when it comes to navigating these kinds of unseen challenges." Or, in a personal context, after a deep conversation, you might muse, "I wonder who you'd turn to if I wasn't around to hear these kinds of thoughts." The key is the subtlety and the implication, not a direct statement. Phase 3. Let their imagination do the rest. You don't need to elaborate on the consequences of your departure. Their own minds, now accustomed to your indispensable presence, will fill in the terrifying blanks. They will mentally run through scenarios of your absence, calculate the losses, emotional, practical, social, and instinctively recoil from the thought. The fear of that vacuum, that disruption, becomes a powerful motivator. Result: they will begin to self-regulate their behavior to keep you close. They will make concessions, overlook faults, prioritize your needs, and actively work to prevent any scenario that might lead to your departure. Your power becomes absolute because it's built on their internal dread, a fear of loss that far outweighs any desire to challenge you. This is the leverage wielded by indispensable employees, irreplaceable partners, and individuals whose absence would cause unimaginable chaos. Tactic number 10, the rattlesnake principle. How to punish without confrontation. Confrontation is often messy, emotional, and inefficient. The rattlesnake principle is about inflicting a single memorable strike that teaches a profound lesson, ensuring the transgressor never dares to cross your boundaries again, without the need for prolonged conflict. Identify their insecurity. Every person has a hidden insecurity, a soft underbelly. It could be their intelligence, their status, their perceived competence, their past failures, or their appearance. This is their vulnerability, and it's the target for your precision strike. Observe and listen for what makes them most defensive or sensitive. Wait for them to cross a line. This tactic is not for preemptive attacks. It's for when a line has been genuinely crossed. A disrespect, a betrayal, a blatant challenge to your authority or integrity. You wait for the moment of transgression. One cut. Deliver a single remark so surgically precise, so perfectly aimed at their core insecurity, that it silences them instantly. It must be delivered calmly, almost dismissively, and carry the weight of undeniable truth, even if it's a subjective truth. The goal is not to win an argument, but to inflict a deep psychological wound that they won't soon forget. Example: someone publicly attempts to undermine your intelligence or preparedness in a meeting. Instead of arguing, you might pause, look at them with a mild, almost pitying expression and state, "It's brave how little you care about looking unprepared when you try to speak on subjects you clearly haven't researched." Or, if someone is being overly boastful and insecure, "It's interesting how much energy you put into convincing us instead of just being what you claim." The statement isn't aggressive, but the psychological impact is devastating. Why it works? The physical pain of a rattlesnake bite is temporary, but the threat of another strike, the memory of that single sharp punishment, outlives the initial attack itself. The target will forever associate crossing your boundaries with the potential for another precise, humiliating blow. They won't risk it again. This cultivates a silent, almost primal respect for your boundaries and authority, not out of fear of physical harm, but out of fear of deep, internal psychological pain and public embarrassment. You've established yourself as someone not to be trifled with, without resorting to messy arguments or displays of anger. Tactic number 11. The dark empathy trap. How to make them depend on your understanding. The most dangerous, insidious controllers don't feel like manipulators. They feel like healers, confidants, and the only ones who truly get you. This is the dark empathy trap, and it turns understanding into leverage. Listen intensely, then reflect their emotions with eerie accuracy. This is the foundation. Become an exceptional listener. Absorb every nuance of their vulnerability, their pain, their unspoken fears and desires. Then articulate their deepest, most hidden emotions back to them with startling accuracy. Don't just paraphrase. Label the precise feeling they're experiencing, even if they haven't articulated it themselves. Example: someone is venting about feeling overwhelmed and isolated. You might say, "It must be absolutely exhausting, isn't it? To constantly pretend you don't care, to keep that impenetrable front up, while internally you're just screaming for someone to truly see you and understand the weight you're carrying." This level of perceived understanding is rare and deeply resonant. Isolate their pain. Once you've mirrored their emotions, gently steer them towards the specific source of their deepest pain or insecurity. Frame it as if you are the only one who truly grasps the depth of their suffering. No one else truly sees the loneliness behind your forced smiles, do they? It's like you're in a cage of your own making, and only you can feel the bars. Position yourself as the only one who gets them. This is the moment of critical dependency. By consistently demonstrating this profound, almost psychic understanding, you establish yourself as their sole confidant, their safe harbor, the only person with whom they can truly be themselves. You become their emotional anchor, their source of validation for feelings they believe no one else comprehends. Endgame: they addict to your approval. Now you define their reality. Once they've become emotionally dependent on your unique understanding and validation, you gain immense power. You now subtly control their emotional landscape. Your approval becomes their drug, your perspective their truth. You define their reality, their self-worth, and their path forward. They will seek your guidance, crave your insight, and internalize your suggestions because you are the only one who sees them. This is how relationships turn toxic, how cults thrive, and how vulnerable individuals are completely subsumed by another's will. Tactic number 12, the fog of certainty. How to make them doubt their own mind. Gaslighting is crude and overt. The fog of certainty is art. It's a sophisticated, almost imperceptible erosion of a person's self-trust and memory, making them doubt their own reality, their perceptions, and ultimately their sanity. Seed doubt with plausible deniability. Never outright deny their reality. Instead, introduce subtle, ambiguous phrases that cast a shadow of doubt without direct confrontation. Maintain an air of confusion or polite disagreement. Example, if they state a fact, you might say, "That's not exactly how I remember it happening, but perhaps you're right. My memory can be a bit foggy sometimes." Or, "Are you sure? I thought X was the case, but it was a while ago." The key is the gentle questioning, not the accusation. Mirror their confusion. If they start to show signs of doubt, amplify it subtly. Reinforce their uncertainty. "Wait, you don't recall that conversation we had about X? I could have sworn we covered it in detail." This makes their own confusion reflect back on them, making it harder to trust their internal state. Anchor their memory to your version. As their self-doubt grows, begin to consistently, calmly, and repeatedly link their memory to your version of events, even if it contradicts their original recollection. Present your version as the undisputed truth, the objective reality. Example, "Funny, you said the exact opposite last week when we were discussing this. I remember it clearly because we both agreed on Z." Or, No, we definitely decided that on Tuesday. You even mentioned how relieved you were." The repetition and certainty, even when fabricated, begin to cement your version as the correct one. Advanced move, they'll rewrite their own past to align with your narrative. The most terrifying outcome of the fog of certainty is when the target begins to internalize your version of events. Their brain, seeking consistency and relief from the dissonance, will literally rewrite their own past to align with your narrative. They will remember things your way, believe the facts you've presented, and eventually become utterly reliant on your interpretation of reality because their own internal compass has been systematically destroyed. This is the ultimate form of psychological control, reducing a person to a pliable echo of your own perception. The point of no return. Let me reiterate, these aren't just psychological tricks. These are behavioral override codes. They are direct access points to the subconscious operating system of another human being. Use them recklessly for selfish gratification or to simply win petty arguments, and you will leave a devastating trail of broken trust, shattered self-worth, and utterly alienated individuals. You will become a pariah, perceived as manipulative and untrustworthy, even if no one can articulate how you operate. However, use them with mastery, with discipline, and with an unwavering understanding of their profound impact, and you will bend reality to your will without leaving a single fingerprint. You will achieve objectives that others deem impossible, navigate complex human dynamics with surgical precision, and exert influence that feels almost supernatural. The final question remains, can you handle this power? Or will it inevitably handle you? Will you wield these tools responsibly, or become consumed by the shadows they cast. Your next move. The game was always rigged against the uninformed. Now you hold the deck. You have the blueprint. There's no time for hesitation. Pick one tactic from part 1 or part 2. Internalize its mechanics. Visualize its application. Then deploy it within the next 24 hours. Find an interaction, a conversation, a situation, and apply it with focused intent. And when you see it work, when you feel that invisible shift, that subtle recalibration of power, that undeniable proof of its efficacy, then you will know that you are no longer average. You are no longer merely reacting to the world around you, a pawn in someone else's unseen game. You are becoming the observer, the architect, the quiet controller of your own destiny and the narratives you inhabit. The world is your chessboard and you are learning to dictate the moves. And this is just the beginning of your transformation. The curtain has been pulled back and there's no closing it now. Because Black Mirror influence isn't just a channel, it's a transformation pipeline. Every video we release isn't content, it's a weapon. Every insight, a psychological advantage. We are equipping you for the unseen battles of the mind. So here's your final undeniable move. Subscribe. No, not to support the channel, not to stay updated, but to join a hidden layer of elite individuals who aren't seen, they're felt. They don't beg for attention, they command it. They don't react, they create. Because on this side of the screen, we're not building content, we're building control. So hit that subscribe button now. Lock in, commit, stay dangerous. Because the next video will upgrade your mind like this one never dared. It will expose a layer of influence so subtle, so ingrained in human nature, that you'll wonder how you ever lived without it, how you ever navigated a single social interaction without this ultimate insight. Black Mirror influence, where raw persuasion ends and dark psychological dominance begins. Welcome to the shadows. Your true journey begins now.